have been preparing myself for this day to come, and I intended to come out raw and just let it all out. This will be a long video, and I hope you can tolerate and listen to it, because it's my story. My son killed himself through suicide. He had an intra-oral gunshot. There's nothing to recognize on his face. It was August 4th, 2018. The day was as normal, as mundane as any other day. It was a Saturday evening. And when you get a call from a detective asking you, "Is this man your son?" I said yes, and I already can tell that he wasn't a good information that he was about to tell me. And then he proceeded to say, "I don't know how else to tell you this," and I knew, and I told him, "Stop, I know what you're about to say." And that was it. To have a very normal, mundane day, and to feel like all of a sudden you fell into a dark hole that you never knew has an ending was the most painful, devastating experience anyone can ever go through. My other son is autistic, and I have to protect him because he can't process pain, emotional pain. So since he died, I never really had a chance to tell the whole story and relived how it was. Everything was suppressed. I tell a little tidbits of the story, but not fully. I tried to compartmentalize that pain, put it on a drawer, because I know I would not be able to take care of my other son. But this year, this Saturday, February 29th, is the first real birthday. He's a leap year baby. The first real birthday that he wouldn't be here, that I can't celebrate with him. He was already bad that he gets a real birthday one every 4 years. And then to miss out on this one You see, my son was a really good boy. People tells me he looks like me, he talks like me. He's kind, he's a jokester. He's giving, he's generous. And when he fell in love, I could not say no. I could not tell him who to fall in love. He fell in love with a woman who was a different culture, different than mine, different than Americans. The mother was from India, the father was from Afghanistan. they moved here to this country, but they practiced the same tradition and religion from where they came from. And when my son realized that the parents told them, the girls, that none of his girls will marry anyone unless they're Hindu. My son was Catholic. And he told me that, Mom, I will prove to them that it's not about the religion, but it's about the person that's worth marrying to your daughter. So he vowed to convert them, to change their mind. And he was hanging around there with his family because they were not far enough neighbors, and they were going to the same school and share some classes together. And all this time, they were playing it as if they were just friends. But he did everything. He did physical labor. He did babysit the house, act like the bigger brothers, did everything. And as he got older, he devoted his time with them, provided them assistance, guidance. My son was a big researcher. He researched on everything. He's not afraid to do anything he's never done. He researched them. He'd always tell me, Mom, they're all in YouTube. All you have to do is follow the instructions and learn. And so it goes that I hardly see him anymore. He was there all the time. And yes, over the years, there was a conversion from the parents that he was good enough. He got very close to the father, to the brother, the sisters. He did everything for them. And there were times that we all, in my family, we say, you know, you are their little slave, and we, you know, come here often, like they're your family. And he said, Mom, I'm investing for my future. And I understand. And when times got difficult for the family, he was there to help them any way he could, even financially, giving them advices, giving them guidance. When they lost their business, they lost their house, my son found a job for the father to be an interpreter for the American soldiers in Afghanistan, and he made really good money. He was very helpful to them. He was valuable to them in that regard. Unfortunately, they have different sense of values. They were into material things, and nothing was ever enough. And when he came back, when the father came back, when the Afghanistan war starting to slow down, all of a sudden he had injuries. He had PTSD, he had back injury. And my son helped him through, and he was able to got awarded for the injuries. And because I have no sense of saving. The money didn't last very long, so when my son offered to start a business for them, he tried very hard. He said he was their last hope, that if he could not make this business a success, that there's no money coming in for them. To the point that my son stopped sleeping, not eating, so he can fulfill the promise. And there were times, which I didn't realize at the time, that he was being pressured even more. No matter what he did, it wasn't enough. So I was sending him money on the side, to the detriment of my marriage. Fortunately, my husband is understandable. I was helping him, and looking back, one of his messages to me was that, "Mom, you may just have saved my life." I didn't realize what that all meant. And then months later, he died. He killed himself. When I talked to the girlfriend at the time, she said, "We were just talking. It was Friday night, and they were having plans for the next day and for his future, their future." And I said, "Was he engaged?" I just wanted to get an understanding. Where was the despair come to play for him to not want to see the next day? And she said to me, yes, they were having a very good, interactive, engaged conversation, and there was no sign of any despair. And then she said, all of a sudden he picked up his gun and shot himself through the mouth. I don't know what happened. I wasn't there. And I'm starting to find a lot of things that not making any sense at all. You see, this happened when they were living in McLean, Virginia. She works for one of the government agencies with 3 letters. You can infer which one. Both of them are very good at handling guns. I didn't know my son's involvement in the agency, if he ever was, but there were a lot of times we don't know where he was. But nonetheless, the fact that I could not make any logical sense that if you have a very good conversation and just pick up a gun and kill yourself, something must have been said for him to feel like there's no way out. I was sad because I asked myself, did he realize how hurt this would make me? It was difficult to accept, and I now know that he was in such despair that there was nothing else he could think of but to get himself out of the misery he was in. I sometimes wish that he had called me, because there were so many conversations conversations we have had in the past that after our conversation he'd always tell me, "Mom, thank you for uplifting me and making me feel better." So I thought that if he would have called me, that maybe I could have changed his mind. And then the next day, I called the girlfriend and I said, "I would like to have some of my son's personal effects." And she said, "I've thrown all of them away. Nothing was left, not even a sock, not a belt, nothing." She said, "Nothing, absolutely nothing." She said, "My parents are here, my brother and my sisters, and they all throw everything away." And she was moving out of that apartment they were staying at. How could she not think of me when she was throwing away everything about him? So doubts have started to emerge, especially when her own mother asked me, "What are we gonna do for her now?" And shortly after, she was asking if we could help her get a bigger, nicer apartment because it's what my son would have wanted. And my husband at first agreed because he felt bad that my son killed himself in front of her. And for the life of me, I just could not understand why. And the fact that he did that exactly 1 month before her birthday, I started to wonder once more, what is this all about? What does this all mean? We never got to see him again because he cannot recognize him anymore. And he was cremated, and that's what he always told me he wanted to do. And when the next day the girlfriend called me and said, "I need $4,500 immediately because that's what I need to get into the new apartment." And I said, "I need to talk to my husband." So when my husband came home, I told him, and he said, "Well, they could sell my son's car," which was a Prius, and he also had a motorcycle. Sell that. He would sign it off. They were not married, so I was the executor of his estate. So that's what we told them, and they said it wasn't enough. And that's when I started to realize, why are we responsible to uplift their lives when I'm hurting, when we are hurting? They didn't even give us any consideration of our pain. It's all about their pain, not my pain. As a mother, you visualize your old age, having your grandchildren running around. That's not gonna happen anymore, but none of those thoughts occurred to them. They seem to have the feeling of ownership of him, like they're entitled to everything without consulting me at all. So I decided that we need to figure this thing out, because this is not right. A week later, they came down, her and her older sister, they came to our house. And by the way, before that, she could not even talk to me on the phone. She had to do it on a text message because she said it was difficult. I don't get that either. Nonetheless, when I finally saw them a week later, I never saw any pain, any tears, nothing. When I fell apart as soon as I saw them, I didn't understand. And then they had the audacity to tell me that they want me to sign everything that my son owned to them. All of the money he has in the bank, all of his properties, that they could sell, that I should sign them off to them. And at first I thought, why can't we do the legal way? Because I know my son had some credit card debts, not much. But I understand that there is a process to where you can liquidate assets of a dead person. But they didn't want me to go through that. They said that you can continue to pay for his credit card so they won't know he's dead. So they won't go after his assets that they're about to sell once I turn them over to them. So I kind of promised them, okay. And then when they left, I called an attorney and he agreed with me that they're asking you to do something not legal. And that's when I realized that their intentions were not in any way good for me. Which means I questioned their intentions for my son. Was she responsible? Apparently the detective told me that she claimed that her fingerprint should be on a gun because she tried to fight him off of the gun when he was pulling it in his mouth. But the fact that she works for a certain agency, I'm sure she has plenty of support versus I'm just a no one. I have a lot of questions that I will never get any answers. And over the years since he died, I have come to realize that people still want me here. I don't want to be here. I lost my sense of future. But because there are still people who want me here, who loves me, I have to learn to compartmentalize those feelings. Especially for my autistic son. I put them away in a drawer. And every time I try to think of it, I close the drawer so I don't get into the emotion. But I felt like for this coming birthday that he's not gonna be here, that I really need to let it all out. I haven't done anything. I did not put an obituary because I was embarrassed to say he killed himself. Where I come from, suicide is a sin. And I thought I'd rather just figure it out later. I thought I was gonna have a memorial. I never had done that either. be a reason why he died. There has to be. So I am searching for that. I'm searching the reason. I'm trying to find meaning of why I have to lose him. I'm kind of lost too. I just don't know how I can continue and feeling like I made a difference, that I'm deserving to be here versus wasting the space, versus having somebody be on my place where they could do better than I'm doing. The only thing I have done for my son is taking him home to my homeland and having a real celebration of life in a Catholic way, and his ashes are placed in a very nice mausoleum so we can visit him. But this is the very first time I'm able to go through all the emotions and all the pain and the fact that I have nothing of him except for the memories and some of the gifts, the thoughtful gifts that he has given me over the years. And I always wonder what could have been. My son was brilliant. He wasn't afraid to do anything, even if he hasn't done it before, because he can figure it out. His generosity and his kindness was his own demise, which I felt responsible because that's how I taught him growing up. I have a lot of guilt that I allowed him to pursue this relationship, this family, and supported it, not really realizing that he would be my own mistake. I miss him so much. And I hope that by telling my story that others can also relate and realize that there's really nothing I could have done. And it's not our fault. It's really not. It's just the way life goes. When people say, think of the positive things, and yet when I do, I hurt more because I know I'll never experience that again. So I hope you can all understand my intentions here. I'm really searching for a purpose. I'm searching for meaning of why he had to die. I'm a good person. I've always tried to be. If I do anything that upsets somebody, it's because it was received differently than I intended. And I always apologize. I know I am fallible. I'm not perfect, but I always try. But I miss him. And I hope that for those who experience the same thing, losing a son is nothing like any other pain that you can even imagine. Nothing like it. And it's difficult to see the end of it. So I hope that maybe I can inspire others to tell their story. That although it hurts so much sometimes, you got to share it so others can feel like they're not alone. We're all in it. And the fact that there's a growing epidemic about kids killing themselves because they felt like they can't cope with life anymore. Something has got to change. So I'm sorry for the raw and the length of this video, but for once I have to tell my story. Especially that his birthday is coming up and I know I won't be able to talk about it this Saturday, so I have to do it today. And thank you for listening. And may you never have to go through what I went through and my family went